Okay, in the last video I showed you how to spin up an ASL server on a hosted node in the cloud, a virtual server. This video I'm going to take you step by step through adding DV switch to it. That way you can connect a DMR talk group to an Allstar node. I cannot take any credit for any of this. I followed other people's instructions, and I'm working behind some great minds that developed all of this, and they've done a great job with it. So the first one I would like to thank is Steve Zingman. He's over at groups.io. You can go over there and look at the DV switch group, as you can see up at the top. They are very helpful. Everyone over there is like I said, very helpful. They can help you get it straightened out if you run into any troubles. Also, the way I was able to get mine set up was using Russell Thomas's how-to, KV4S. He's even over on the switch group, and he came in and chimed in a little bit too to help me out. And his how-to is right here. I'm scrolling down it. I'll refer back to this a couple of times. He does a really good job of the step-by-step setting it up. So anyway, without further ado, I'm going to get in here and go ahead and show you how we're going to do this. Okay, in the last video, we got our Allstar node running. Everything's good to go. So I'm logged into the Allstar node on the virtual server. Basically, DV switch, for this particular instance, we're going to use MD380 Emulator, VM Bridge, and Analog Bridge. Those three packages make this work. They have a nice little repository. You can go get it. It's called DV switch repo. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that. So we're logged in. We're at the prompt in our root directory. And I'm logged in as repeater. So wget http I'm doing the long way on this. Okay, well, should have done it as a sudo command. I forgot I was logged in as a repeater, so we're going to do that again. The old up arrow. Okay, so we got that in. That's the first step. Now, I am not a Linux guru. I follow other people's directions. So I just follow what's out there and go from there, and it's worked for me. So I'm just basically showing you what I did here. So I don't understand everything that I'm doing. I'd be lying to you if I told you I did. So I'm just following the commands to get it done. And all this is in the how-to that I was showing you on the how-to page. Now you can see I've jumped ahead in the video a little bit where I made some mistakes, but as you can see, there was a couple of lines there where after I did the chmod, then I went to do the install. I didn't do it as sudo, and I misspelled it. I did DAV switch instead of DV switch. So anyway, I'm back down here now with the correct command. So that's going to install the package. All right, now we've got the package installed. Now we're going to use the apt-get And make sure you're using sudo apt-get update. All right, so now it's updated. Now we'll do apt-get install. And again, didn't use sudo because I'm not logged into root as a root. Do you want to continue? Yes. So now we've got everything installed. Now we're going to go, I'll show you where the folder is with the files in it. So cd opt. And there you can see there's Analog Bridge, MD380 Emulator, and DVM Bridge. So the first thing we're going to do, we'll go ahead and configure our Analog Bridge. We're gonna nano into it using sudo, obviously, because if you don't, you'll make all your changes and then you won't be able to save it. And I was a dummy and didn't do the .ini. So yeah, if you nano to analog_bridge only, you're gonna see all those characters and everything. So you need to nano into analog_bridge.ini. And if you're familiar, well, obviously you're going to be fairly familiar with Allstar. It looks very similar to an Allstar setup here. So first thing we're going to do is come down here to the decoder fallback. We want to set that to true. Then we want to go right here to use emulator. We want to make it true. All right, our next settings will be right here with your from and to DMR port. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Russell's site for it. So if we go right here, he's got the analog bridge settings, and everywhere there's a pink outline, that's where it's changed from default. So you see that setting right there, from and to. I'm going to make one 31.100 and 31.103. So get back to it. 31.100 and 31.103. Okay, I had to cut the video here. I'd gone through the whole install and had a problem, and I used some bad information. Right here on your gateway DMR ID, that's your DMR ID number. Or right here, this repeater ID, if you're not using a repeater, you're going to have to use another number. So I increased my number by 1 right there. Actually, I need to change that and make that let me add that right there. Let's fix that. Anyway, if those two numbers are the same, your analog bridge is not going to start up. So I'm just going to increase that by one more number. Control X. Save. But anyway, that is important. If those two are the same, it does not work. When I had set mine up earlier on a previous install, I was using a repeater. So I had a repeater ID and then I was using mine. So that would be a good point to have two DMR IDs. That way you can have one for each, one for the person coming through and one to have that on there as the repeater ID. So there you go. I'm going to make a test talk group right now. So I'm going to make it talk group 311397. In Georgia, until recently, our repeaters were 3113 for Georgia, and then they had a 2-digit number after them. And say, like, my repeater here in Columbus is 311342, 42nd repeater. Well, they haven't handed out 97 of them yet, so I know that's clear right now as a talk group. So then next thing down, we'll leave that set, talk group, time slot 2, color code 1. We'll scroll on down. Let's go check the instruction page over here. Down here, we're going to start with AGC gain and DMR gain. Now on mine, I had to run that. I'll have to go back and look. But where it says audio unity, I had to change that to audio use gain on both of them. And I had to play around with those settings. And I'll bring my current server up and I'll show you. I put notes out there because I can't remember which one is digital to analog and which one is analog to digital. But that's your two levels coming in. But we're going to go with his basic settings right now. But you will have to change that. So we're going to set that to a neg 10. And we're going to set this guy, I think it was 0.05. My memory is awful. And if you can't tell, I talk like a country bumpkin too, so it does very much reflect my intelligence. Okay, so we've got all that set. Go look at his page one more time. That was the end of that particular config file. Okay, I told you I'd pull my server up that's actually running and show you the settings that I used. Right here, I'm clicking right here and here. You can see I did audio use gain. If you leave it set at audio unity, making changes here is not going to make any difference because they're just set at unity. But out to the side, I made a note in mine just so I could remember which was which. So I've got AGC gain there, and you see I made a note, digital to analog, and then down here on DMR audio, DMR gain, I did analog to digital. I just played around with the settings and saw, to see which side would make a difference where, and then I just made myself a note so I can remember. But mine wound up being a neg 5 on the AGC gain, and on the DMR gain, 0.3. So anyway, your usage may vary, or your mileage may vary, or however you want to put it, but I wanted to bring that up and show it to you. Now we're going to do a Control X, and it says save. Yes, hit the Y button. File name, yes, we're going to write it. Okay, so now we've got that saved. Okay, now we're going to go in and change our analog bridge settings. I'm sorry, we're going to change our VM bridge settings. I never said I was a professional here, folks. All right, so remember we want to do it as sudo so it'll hold it. Otherwise, like I said, you'll go in there and make your changes and it won't hold. So mmdvm underscore bridge .ini. Sudo nano MMD VM Bridge.ini. Okay, so now we're in the MMDVM bridge portion of it. So if we go back to our help page, scroll down, and what he has on here is he has what it comes as and what parts you change. So of course you're going to put in your call sign, put in your ID. This part here with the frequency and the latitude and the names and all that, that is what gets published to the Brandmeister self-care page. If you have not signed up for Brandmeister, you're going to need to go to Brandmeister and sign up for an account and get a self-care page for your hotspot to do this. Because that's what this talks to, is goes in there and it populates that page, and then you can create your static talk groups and things like that to this particular instance of DV switch, so it knows where to route it to, so that the Brandmeister network sends the traffic down to your device. So, but anyway, this part up here, of course, you got to have that, so that way when it transmits, people knows who it's coming from. This is just semantics right here, so that when they look at your page, they'll see what frequency you're on and all that if they want to try to access it, which would be good for a repeater. Down here, DMR, in the DMR section, you want to enable 1, and then DMR network, enable 1. And then here is whichever Brandmeister server you choose to use, the one that's closest to you in your part of the country. You can go to the Brandmeister website or do a Google search for Brandmeister master servers and pick the one that's closest to you. I like 3102, that's what I use. So anyway, like I would have 3102.repeater.net in there, and then set your jitter to 750. So we're going to go back and do that real quick. So click on the screen there, make sure I'm on it. Change mine to WB4ULK. I keep wanting to click on the lines instead of arrowing down. 3113722. I think I got to go back and change my ID number in the last one because I think I had it backwards. I'm going to leave all that the same because I really don't care, because I'm going to delete this when I'm done anyway. All right, so we're going to scroll down here. So this first line here, let me click on it so you see it. DMR enable 1. Color code 1, embed only. That's going to stay the same. Then we'll scroll down here to DMR network. Change that to 1. And I'm going to change mine to 3102.repeater.net. And it's like 3108 is in Atlanta. 3101 I think is up in the Northeast. I can't remember where 3102 is, but you get the picture. If you go look at their site, you'll see where they are geographically. And there was one more setting. Nope, that was it. Yeah. Oh, yeah, set the jitter to 750. There we go, 750. Okay, now we're going to Control X to save. We're going to say yes, write it. Okay, so we're set. Our next step is going to be, if you go back to the how-to page, you got to go into your rpt-conf file. You got to comment out .sudo, and then you got to uncomment the USRP RX channel, and then you need to go into modules.conf and go down to where it says no load chan USRP. You've got to load that. So let's go do that real quick, and we'll get the thing working. So we're gonna cd into etc/*, and make sure I'm in the right one. Yep. So first thing we're going to do is sudo nano rpt.conf. Let's go into that configuration file. Right here at the top, we're going to comment out .sudo. Just put a semicolon in front of it. Then we're going to go down here to the USRP. We're going to uncomment that. Go back and make sure there's nothing else we need to do. Nope, that was the only change we needed to make. Now also what I do here is, since this is a transparent node, and this is what I do, you can do whatever you choose to do with yours. It'll work just like it does, but I think in some ways not so good. Put it linked, point-to-point link, yes. Using my page down command here. I put these hang times at 10 milliseconds. Let's go ahead and make them 20. I can't remember if there's a minimum. I go down here to hold off to lim 0, put to lim default to 2. What that'll do is she'll tell you when she makes a connection when you tell her to, and then it will announce other nodes coming in and out for a minute or two. But after that, she's quiet as a mouse. Anybody connects or disconnects, it never says anything. But at least when you issue a command, it will go out so you know that, I mean, you get feedback on it. Scroll all the way down here to the bottom. I was getting this terrible hang time anytime there was analog traffic, and it was holding up the DMR side. So I go down here to wait times, and I set everything down here to 20 milliseconds. And it seems to work out pretty good. So we're going to Control X, save it. Yes. And now what I can do, since all I did was change the, oh yeah, and we got to go in and do the modules too. So we'll go look right here. We're going to go into the modules.conf configuration file. All right, and we're going to page down. And it's right down here. See, I'm going to click on the screen so you can see it. So we're going to scroll down to that guy. And we're just going to take the no off so that it loads chanusrp.so. So we're going to Control X to save it. Yes. Now I'm going to do a asterisk restart. Asterisk restart.sh. So now asterisk is restarted. So now that we've got that up and running, I'm just going to go back to the root here. Sudo systemctl space enable space md380 hyphen emu for the emulator. Okay. next command is going to be sudo systemctl start. And if you notice when it pops up there like that, I'm just hitting the up arrow, and what the up arrow does, if you're not real familiar with Linux, and I'm not super familiar with it myself, if you hit the up arrow, it puts the last command that you typed in, and then you can edit it. So we're going to go, the next thing we're going to do is enable analog underscore bridge. Now we're going to start analog bridge. Then our next one is going to be enable MMD VM underscore bridge. And then we're going to start it. Scroll back here, change that to start. Hit the enter button. Now we've got everything up and running. Okay, I cheated before I came back in between cuts there. I had a problem with the emulator starting up. Steve Zingman, he got in there and took a look at it, got it straightened out for me, and he made a change in the package. It's working well now, but I'll show you how to check it. So we're going to go systemctl status MD380-EMU. Hit enter, and you can see right here that it started 3 minutes ago. It's enabled, and it is running. So we're good. If not, it pops up there and says that it failed and all this good stuff. So you want the emulator running because the emulator does a really good job with the audio. I ran it without the emulator just until we could get it straightened out, and the audio was not near as good as using the emulator. So anyway, we've got that running. So everything is running now. We got the Allstar node up. We've got the DMR bridge running. So right now, I'm going to hop off of here, and I'll bring up the page with my Allstar node showing that it's active. I'll dial into it with my telephone. I'm going to program my radio real quick to connect to the DMR talk group, and then I'll talk into one and you can hear it on the other, and you can also see it going across on the Allstar client. All right, I got my radio programmed up. I've already dialed into the node and make sure it was working, and I'm using my cell phone for it because I don't want it connected into my network. So first thing I'm going to do is go to my Vultr server page, and I'm going to go down here to that test server, and we're going to go ahead and just do a restart. That way everything comes up nice and clean. And when we did the systemctl enable and start, like I said, I'm a little ignorant on that. I guess you just have to do that the first time, but when you reboot the server, all of those services come up when it reboots, so you don't have to go in and do that every time. So if your server lost power or whatever, or restarted, it's no problem. You don't have to go in there and do that every time. So we've got the server restarted. Okay, we're ready to try this guy out. So you can see that got my terminal window up here. We've got the node running. We'll go over here to Brandmeister. Now, if you look here, you can see that the node has populated it with that information that we just left like it was, groups IO DB switch, so we know it's connected. I went ahead and made a static talk group down here, and that's the one that we put in. Then we'll go to Allstar 47898. That's the one I'm using. It's been up for 2 minutes and 39 seconds. And go to hose line. All right, I refreshed it. I got my DMR HT right here. I'm going through my local repeater. So you can see it come up there. Watch it light up at the top. Well, I can hit the repeater. See how it turns white at the top? Okay. So now what we'll do is we'll go into our command prompt. Let's log into the repeater. Nope, that's the wrong one. Dang it. Got to log into the right one. Can't type here with one hand. All right, we're going to go into our Asterisk client. All right, so we're looking at the client there on the page. So I got the phone here. I've got it saved as an auto dial.
Welcome to the Allstar Network. Voice operated access. And 2 for please wait a moment while you're being connected.
See it connect on the left side there?
Node 47898.
Okay, so she's up and going. Now remember, our DMR radio was connected to the talk group. So I'm going to key the phone. WB4ULK.
WB4ULK. WB4ULK.
Echo. Yeah, I forgot to put the phone back on mute. WB4ULK. So now if we look at the hose line, if I talk on the phone again, WB4ULK. So there you go. It is working. So anyway, I hope that helps some of you. I had a major issue getting it running. I went back and edited the video, which obviously you've seen that because you've already been there and you've come to this point. But I got to this point and had everything running, but I could not get the bridge to work. And I got on the group and posted my question. And we're like, hey, did you look at the log file? Well, no, I'm too dumb to look at the log file. I had to figure out how to go do it. But anyway, I went into var log and then found the folder for the analog bridge and then went into the log file. And sure enough, it told me, hey, you're using the same ID for your repeater and for your user ID, so can't do that. So it'd be a good idea to have two IDs so that you can do that at the same time. Because you don't want to just make up numbers and get on somebody else's ID. But anyway, that's it working. It works very well. We've got one spun up here at home on our system. It's Allstar Node 45221. That's our main hub node. And we've got our local DMR talk group tied into that. And it works very well for us. So I hope that helps some of you out there. And by no means, I'm no expert. I'm just following what other people have done, and I haven't seen a step-by-step video out there. So I'm just trying to help other people like me that maybe need a little help along the way. So anyway, 73, WB4ULK.